Hello and welcome to this head-to-head Three Kingdoms Spotlight. I'm joined by Tom once again to have a look at some of the changes that we've made to multiplayer campaigns in Total War Three Kingdoms. We are playing as the two bandit characters. I'm playing as Jiang, and as you can see, Tom is playing as Zhang. So we have quite a nice start position next to each other, so we're quite close. We've actually got each other's capitals right next to each other, which makes it pretty easy to set up your coalitions and trade routes together. But these are two characters with very hard start positions.
They are. So we're on turn 24 right now. So we've played a little bit, and we've had some struggles, some turmoil. But as you can see, I've expanded quite far out here, and I can only, because we're not in any sort of alliance yet, I can only see this point to your trade, to your trade route just here. But should we talk about a little bit how head-to-heads have changed now? So obviously they're a bit more dynamic. So previously, where you'd pick, are you being co-op or are you playing against each other? Now you just start. And it's it's as I said, much more dynamic. You use all the new diplomacy options that are in Three Kingdoms that add so much to the game, and you can use those to either we can form a coalition or we can do other things like that. So we're at the moment, just so people know, we're swapping between screens. We can tell if we're on Wheels' screen because Jiang's just over there, and when we're on my screen, there we go.
And the nice thing as well is that we've got ourselves in different graphic settings as well. So I've got the records mode, post-processing on, and you've got the romance mode. So you'll also get a little bit of a color difference as well. So as you said, the main difference between the sort of previous multiplayer campaigns that you might have played in other Total War games is the fact that, as you said, it's fluid now. So there's no actual hard lock to cooperative. You're not forced to be in alliance with each other, but you're also not forced to kill each other. So if you open up the diplomacy options now, we've actually got a brand new one, which is to share the mandate of heaven. So if we open up with Jiang, so we can go under our diplomatic treaties, and this is to pledge to share the mandate and win together. So we make an unbreakable pledge, sharing the mandate of heaven to achieve a joint victory in cooperation. So this is kind of like a hard lock to setting yourself as in an alliance, essentially. And what that means is not only are you in an alliance, but your actual count of how many settlements that you control will actually pool together. So once you hit that emperor rank, you can actually pull together, once you've gotten the 3 seats of power under one of your or both of your control, you can then have all of your settlements pulling together into one number, and that means that you've got a larger empire together. Once you hit that win condition, you both win together.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's more informal stuff before you get to that late stage, because that you could obviously use that right at the start if you want to, but that's much more useful towards that kind of mid to late game place where you've kind of emperors have been declared, and you're like, well, where are we going? Where do we want to sit in this in this place? Do we want to go against each other, or do we want to have an alliance? Of course, before that, you can form coalitions. So I've now achieved high enough rank that we can form a coalition together. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's form a coalition. So I'm obviously going to propose this deal to you.
And then, as you can expect, if we fade over to my screen, I'm going to get that as an option for myself as well. And, of course, diplomacy works as you'd expect between both of your factions. You can set up your own deals. We can trade ancillaries and all that kind of thing. We can give each other territory if we've maybe taken something over and it's actually part of another person's commandery, for example. You could, for example, you've got Taiwan right next to you, and I'm actually trying to get that last bit of territory. So if you were able to take that over, you could gift that over, and maybe I could give you something in return. And one of the nice things as well is that because that's such a maneuverable and flexible system, the new diplomacy overhaul, essentially, that we've done for Total War Three Kingdoms, means that you've got loads of cool new options that you wouldn't have been able to do in previous Total War games. One of the more interesting ones that we highlighted was the fact that if you use your marriage proposals, so let's say that you have a character in your faction that you don't mind getting rid of, one thing that you can do is load up that character's military, his retinue, with all of your unique units that only your faction can generate. So we can do that right now, actually. So we can recruit your special units, perhaps your Black Mountain Outlaws, which is something that I don't get access to.
And then we've also got the Black Mountain Marauders, which you don't have access to. So we'll load a couple of those.
So they're going to tank your income, but it's fine because you're sending them over my way. But that means that once I accept that character into my faction through marriage, I'll actually have those units for myself. And as long as I don't get rid of them, they'll keep replenishing as well. So I can actually... we can sort of share each other's unique units, which is a really cool way of playing through it.
Yeah, definitely. And also, obviously you can trade food as well, so you currently have a lack of food, so we can trade something for that as well. And any items, we can just communicate between each other and trade those between us. And of course, there's some sneaky things we can do, Michael, as well. So with the new, we're on my screen, aren't we? Yeah, with the new spy system, obviously this isn't working great because I'm sitting right next to you.
Yeah, obviously you want to be a little bit more sneaky about this if you're trying to do it to your friend.
What we've also done is, because I've now used all my income, I need to borrow 300 gold from you, Michael.
I can give you £300.
So I can spy on you. So if I just request a payment of... I'm just going to request 500.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
no,
I'll send that over, just for the sake of the video, Tom.
Yes,
for the sake of the video.
For the sake of the people. And then if I go to spies, I can then hire this guy right here, click on yourself, and deploy a spy there. So next turn, that spy will be in your faction, and it won't actually it won't tell you when I'm doing stuff. So I'll be doing things in here, and reducing your movement range and messing with your armies if you happen to hire that character.
Yeah.
It would just be triggering random events which do happen anyway. So you would be none the wiser. So I could be playing along the whole time, and we'd be in a coalition. We're all happy and joking around. It turns out I've got 4 or 5 spies in your army, and 50% of your forces are actually. I know exactly what you're doing. But of course, you can do the same to me. So
yeah, and that's one of the nice things about this new Fluid campaign is the fact that you don't have to continuously be locked to that one win condition. If you were to do a head-to-head in a previous game, you only win if you actually destroy the other person's faction. In this case, we could actually put aside our differences halfway through and think, wow, we're getting completely annihilated whilst every other faction in the game is doing really well. Maybe we should just give up on this whole destroying each other thing and actually just work together. And maybe once we get to a point where we're both quite strong and we feel quite confident, we can actually go up against each other again. But maybe I've been preparing that whole time because I've got about 4 spies in your faction now.
Yeah. And of course, as was mentioned in the mid game spotlight that you and Pete did the other week. Obviously, once you become an emperor, that does cancel alliances with with all the other people that declare themselves emperor. So if we were the 2 most powerful factions at the time, our alliance will be broken by the game, so it forces us to reevaluate exactly what we're doing, and can create some really interesting dynamics where you're just having to kind of put a lot of trust into that person. And obviously your friends are gonna mess you up, Michael.
And that's another interesting thing as well, is that you can find yourself in, once again, these strange positions that only happen in this game where, for example, maybe you've been playing second fiddle, so you're friend for quite a bit. They've got a huge empire and you've just been kind of like plodding along as their little mate, whilst they're basically, taking the bulk of all the territory. That means that they could end up in a position where they're super strong and they hit that emperor rank and they leave you behind. Suddenly you don't have a seat of power, and it's the other 2 factions in the game that have actually taken that before you have. So now you think to yourself, well, maybe I can actually just backdoor my so-called friend, take his position of power off of him, and I've got a free emperor seat.
No, definitely.
So what I think we're gonna skip ahead a turn or 2 so that we can show a couple of the interactions of the spies in my faction, and
let's do that.
Okay, so a few turns ahead, I've regained some cash by selling off some ancillaries, and if we go into our court screen, what's this? A mysterious new vanguard has appeared, waiting employment. So if we grab this boy right here, unbeknownst to me, a spy, of course, from Tom's faction, and you can see that this guy is also, he's not going to have any kind of notifying trait about him. So you can just be completely po-faced to your friends and say, yeah, that vanguard looks pretty good. Maybe you need some cavalry in your faction, that kind of thing. And they can, unbeknownst to you, just join your faction. And suddenly, they've got line of sight. They've got information on what's going on in your faction. Not only that, of course, at some point, I'm probably going to raise him in my armies as well. So if we go down here, Zheng is available for hire. And all of a sudden, you've got your army abilities available to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's skip ahead another turn, and then we'll have a look at the abilities on the screen. And then,
So next turn, and we go back over to Tom, and you can see that there he is in your undercover network, just been hired, and also been made a general as well. So as you've seen in the other spy videos, for every sort of rank, I guess, of different actions that you can have available to you, they're all linked to that person having a certain rank in my faction. So, for example, if I were to actually adopt them at some point, or maybe even marry her, Jiang to Chen Gongying, then you would actually get access to those family tree abilities as well, which are really, really deadly.
Yeah, definitely. And if you really wanted to infiltrate someone's family tree, you could also, like, during your discussion about the gameplay, be like, oh, I'm really struggling to keep hold of this key character. Like, they're so close to defecting, and just pretend they've defected. And then, obviously, your friend could, especially with Jiang as well, with that initial marriage as well. Like, early on, you could be like, oh, no, I've just lost a key character. Like, I can't believe I was playing as Dong Zhuo and I've lost Lu Bu. I can't believe he's gone. You're, of course, you'll be like, oh, I'm just going to steal Lu Bu. Like, what a cool character. Like, you might just play along and take that.
And not even that, like, you might just be like, oh no, it's fine, he's appeared in my recruitment pool.
Yeah.
It must have been because I was right next to you. And then you're like, oh yeah, fantastic, yeah, now you can hire him as your heir. And all of a sudden you've got all of these great options, and maybe you can actually end up killing their faction leader with Lu Bu, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, you know, and you might get all the way to the end of the campaign before realizing, you know, and it will just be like hours and hours of gameplay, and you're just constantly playing along. Hard secret to keep, though, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's loads of new options just from the fact that it is multiplayer campaign in Three Kingdoms. This is the interesting thing, is that the new systems that we've added, because they all work in multiplayer, that means that you've got all of these new toys to play around with, and they just have that extra bit of bite when you're doing them to your own personal friend as well.
Definitely. So thanks very much for joining this head-to-head spotlight. Obviously, we've shown off some of the possibilities that you can take on with your friends.
Yeah, but if you want to see us play a proper campaign, we're actually going to be playing one on next Thursday and next Friday as part of our daily live stream. So it's going to be really fun.
So it's the 16th and 17th of May. Come join us on twitch.tv/TotalWarOfficial. And we're going to be,
we'll be continuing this actual campaign, which is going to be really interesting. So thanks very much for watching. We'll see you on the streams, and see you soon.